With Broly returning in the upcoming Dragon Ball Super 2018 movie to battle against Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza, the question that the Dragon Ball fandom is asking is, what about Android 17? What about Gohan, Master Roshi, Piccolo, and the remaining Z fighters that are on Earth in terms of having to assist Goku and Vegeta in this upcoming movie? Are they more or less going to have a similar role that we saw happen in Revival of F, or are we not going to see any of the secondary heroes at all in this upcoming 2018 movie? As on today's video, we're going to be further discussing the role of the Z Fighters in this upcoming 2018 movie and having to be pit up against Broly and his upcoming army next.
This is the legendary Super Saiyan. Before I destroy you, I'm going to need you to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming and turn on notifications to never miss a single upload. Also, follow UnrealEntGaming on these social media platforms. And if you don't, I'll destroy you along with your entire planet.
What, Broly?
Frieza.
Uh-oh.
Prepare to die!
The concept of Broly re-debuting in the upcoming Dragon Ball Super 2018 movie has created lots of controversy within the Dragon Ball fandom, and among the three fighters that we know are going to fight Broly, the question arises as to what about the rest of the Z fighters that are currently on planet Earth that have nothing else to do. As joining me here today to tackle the subject of Gohan's role in the upcoming Dragon Ball Super movie, alongside Muten, Roshi, Kuririn, Tien, Yamcha, Goten, and potentially Trunks, is my good friend DevilArtemis. Now Artemis, we know so much about Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza and being more or less involved in this film and having to fight Broly, but having to look at what the other characters are doing or are going to do in this film, it doesn't look like they're going to be a part of this at all. We do know that Piccolo is going to be in the movie, Beerus is going to be in the movie, Whis is going to be in the movie, but what we also do understand is that the main core fights that are going to take place are going to be between Broly, Vegeta, Broly, Goku, Broly, and Frieza. But what about Gohan? What about Android 17? What about the rest of the Z fighters? Now, my question to you is, where do you see the placement of some of these secondary characters in this upcoming movie as we dive in more or less in what Paragus has to offer in terms of his ulterior motives and seeing how Broly is going to be fighting Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza? My question to you is, do you see anybody else having to go against the opposition that is Paragus in this film in terms of also stepping up against his army as we saw in Revival of F, or do you think that more or less Gohan and the rest of the fighters are going to be kept away just to give Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza that momentary spotlight against Broly in this upcoming movie?
I honestly think that Gohan and like the others aren't going to play a huge role into this movie. In my opinion, I feel like they aren't the type to be involved as they were beforehand. The only reason I say that is because from what we've seen so far, it seems like this movie is going to focus more so around the Saiyans. So I don't see like Krillin and Piccolo and like Android 17 really getting involved. Unless it's in the very beginning of the movie where they're used to like, you know, kill time or build up some sort of just some sort of story in the beginning, like whether or not they're at Roshi's place or they're in West City doing something or in Central City doing something and these characters are just hanging out. That's one thing, you know, but them having a major role, like participating in a tournament how they had before, or like participating in a battle how they did in the Resurrection of F, I honestly don't think that's going to happen. If anything, I feel this movie is going to focus more on the other side characters like Frieza's army and possibly Paragus and in general, and Broly in general, their backstory. So I feel that this movie is going to focus on the new characters that are introduced rather than the old. You know?
Well, what about the concept? I was going to ask you, what about the concept of them fighting off Paragus' army? Because we've seen that in Resurrection of F. Even though in Resurrection of F we've seen a much bigger army appear, I don't see them keeping Piccolo, Goten, Trunks, Master Roshi, Gohan out of the picture. I think Android 17 is not going to be in this film, because if you look at what happened during the end of episode 131, depending on how far of a time skip we go in, I think 17 is off on a vacation. I think he's on his boat, he's enjoying himself with his family, and thus if you want to see Android 17, I don't think we're going to see that. And I think that it would be cool to see 17 in this moment with Goku and Vegeta and Frieza once more. I don't see him directly being involved because, like you said, it's going to revolve around the Saiyans and their history and their story, and thus there's no room for 17 or a need of him for now. But speaking of the others, like as an example, seeing Goten and Trunks possibly fuse to fight some of the other warriors, like for example the army members that Paragus has, or having Gohan involved, what are your thoughts on them? What are your thoughts on Muten Roshi, you know, having to be more involved? As we saw him during the Tournament of Power, he had more of an involvement. We saw these characters before be executed, but will they be executed now? And to follow up with that, do you think that Gohan, out of all the characters that are going to be on the sidelines, should be involved in your opinion, or do you believe that it should only make way for Goku and Vegeta, and thus you keep Gohan out of it for the moment being?
Well, I mean, I don't think that it's like Frieza's army is going to be that strong that it's going to need like you know, an all-out war or these characters really handling Frieza's army. I honestly don't expect much from his army. I don't. Like this movie, I don't expect anything from Frieza's army.
Yeah.
Or the individuals, if you want to call it Frieza's army, the individuals from the group that Paragus is in, I don't expect much of them. Honestly, the only person that I'm expecting a lot out of is Broly, because it seems that he is like this super advanced Saiyan, this strong Saiyan who's going to be able to take on Goku and Vegeta, who, I mean, they're the strongest fighters on that planet. You know, you get me?
Of course, yeah.
And this is post-Tournament of Power, so it's really interesting to see what's going to happen. 17, if we were to put in these other characters, right, theoretically, all right, let's say 17 were to be involved. He can't, because he's probably on that trip. You know, like they said, after the Tournament of Power, he's probably on that trip, or he's probably spending time with his family. Piccolo is probably off training somewhere. Gohan is raising Pan. You know, like I really don't see these characters really getting involved. Piccolo could make a cameo. You know, Piccolo could maybe fight off one or two members. Tien and Yamcha could maybe do something. Maybe Krillin. I don't know. Krillin has a family too. Like everybody has a family, and really they don't take the priority of defending the Earth the way that Goku and Vegeta do, because they're Saiyans. You understand? They're made for battle. They are like, and I know this is a horrible comparison, but like there are dogs, for example, in our world that they need to have exercise, like huskies. They need, you know, they're made to run. So if you keep them indoors, they're gonna lose control. Like Saiyans are made for battle, so you need to have these Saiyans constantly training and trying to overcome themselves and just obtain more power. So I feel like Goku and Vegeta are gonna be the front of this movie. You know, they're gonna be there at the battle, doing what they have to do, dealing with whoever they have to deal with. It's gonna be them. It's not gonna be someone like Gohan. And I know this is gonna piss off a lot of people who love Gohan. I'm sorry, but Gohan is never gonna be as great as he was. I don't see Gohan like having an amazing scene in this movie either. So
I guess it's because a lot of people remember the second Broly movie when Gohan fought against him. Gohan needed help, and I think that every single time we've seen Broly fight somebody, they often needed help in order to fight him, which makes sense, because I think that with Goku and Vegeta fighting him, we have the help of Frieza and possibly other people as well. But I also wanted to touch up on Gohan specifically, and of course Muten Roshi, Tien, Krillin. I think that with Paragus also being there, my question to you would be, do you see the rest of the Z fighters after fighting off Paragus's army? Do you see them going after Paragus themselves? Because it would be really cool to see Broly fight Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza off on the side, while our current heroes, perhaps Piccolo, Gohan, and everybody else, takes on someone like Paragus, because it would create more of an involvement. I don't think that Paragus is obviously on the same level of Broly. That's something very fallacious that anybody could say, and I think that it's very egregious to even think that, but I think that Paragus does have something huge to offer in this film, aside from him just pulling the strings. I think that Paragus perhaps maybe is also someone that can handle himself in battle, not quite as sufficient as Broly can, but I think that, you know, by having him in this film, would you want to see him more or less involved in action, to where, you know, even if his army falls, he can still be more or less involved? Or do you think that if his army does end up getting, you know, beat down one by one, that he has nothing to offer as a fighter from that kind of standpoint, whereas more or less he's just sitting back using Broly to do all the dirty work for him.
I mean, I feel like honestly Paragus as a character is not going to be important in terms of like having a long-term effect on the movie. I think he's just going to end up being killed by Broly in general. I think Broly's probably going to be the one to he's just going to be the one who's going to end up getting killed by Broly. Yeah, like there's nothing else to it. I don't think Frieza's going to kill. I think so. I mean, listen, if Toriyama's going to do anything the same, I think the proper person to kill Paragus would be Broly. You know, it's not like they're gonna make Broly an emotional character and have Goku like murder Broly and or Vegeta defeat Broly and then Broly's gonna be mad. Broly has never been a person of you know, he's not sentimental. He doesn't have these emotions. It's like, oh my dad, like he's not like that. Fucking Vegeta has more. I feel like Vegeta has more of a care towards his father than Broly
does. Yeah.
You know, like Broly, I feel like, you know, he's being suppressed by his father. Like, why would he care? If anything, he'll probably break free, kill his dad, just like they did beforehand. And it might not even be intentional. It might be that Broly's character is a lot deeper now. You know, he might care for his father, but once he goes into his berserk form, he accidentally kills his dad. You understand? Like, they can do that. You know, they can make Broly a person who cares for his, you know, for his family, but it really depends what direction they take for the movie. We have to wait and see. But I think Paragus is he's not going to be super important late into the movie. I think he's just going to be killed off. I think he's just going to be killed off the same way that he was in the original movie, you know?
I think that would kind of be a little bit of a detriment to his character. I'm not sure if you want to agree to that, because in the previous Broly movies, Paragus didn't do anything except kind of play the role of being a manipulator and telling Vegeta, hey, this is your planet and blah blah blah, just to use them to get killed by that asteroid. Now, do you see Paragus again kind of having that same kind of you know, adaptation that he had before, to where he's just a manipulator and nothing more, or do you kind of see him being more or less involved in terms of action per se?
I see a third party playing a hand into this. We still don't know what the main plot, like why Broly's on Earth. We don't know what the main plot is yet. So there is a possibility that Frieza could be playing a role into this, you know, because we did see Frieza in the trailer, and there are like images going around with, you know, Frieza being there. So it's like, there is a possibility that Frieza could be the one who plays a major role in this movie. As painful as that is to say for me, because I feel like Frieza has just been involved in everything at this point. You know, they're kind of like overkilling Frieza. He played his role on Namek. You know, they did Resurrection of F. Now he has the, you know, the Tournament of Power that he recently did, and now we have this movie again, and Frieza's gonna play another role in that movie. It's too much Frieza, in my opinion. You get me? It's cool to bringing back Broly, and it only makes sense. It only makes sense now that I think about it, because it is about the Saiyans, and Frieza does play a huge part in the Saiyans' history in general. But honestly, I just feel like it's too much Frieza. And
I think that kind of goes back to what you said. And what I'm referencing here is, you just said the stories about the Saiyans, and I agree with you. The concept of all of this does go back to Frieza, because Frieza was the one that destroyed Planet Vegeta. But don't you think this also would be a good way into segueing something along the lines of introducing why, you know, Saiyans that are born as half-breeds are stronger? Because remember, Saiyans that are, you know, half human and half Saiyans do hold more potential than purebloods. Vegeta had said that several times in Dragon Ball Z, which is why I asked you from the beginning about Gohan, because if we're going to be explaining the concept behind Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyans, the S-Cell, Full Power Broly, where the powers come from, the origin of the Saiyans, possibly Planet Sadala, Planet Vegeta, Paragus, you know, if we're going to be diving so far into that kind of lore, do you think that it would only make sense to also further explain why half-breeds have more potential? Because by looking at this movie objectively, it would be cool if we did have, as an example, Piccolo, Gohan help out Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza in this fight, and that all carries back to when we saw Trunks, Gohan, Vegeta, Piccolo, and Goku fight Broly at the same time. And guess what? What made that movie so special, what made movie 8 so special, was seeing Broly just go through everybody, and I think that it was a really awesome film to watch, even though the ending was very half-assed, with Goku uppercutting him and that was it, and then, you know, by having the story play off itself where Broly was embarrassed and he wanted Goku's blood, that was really dumb in my opinion. But I think that, you know, looking at it from objectively from this point of view, it would be really important and key to see other people assist Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza, even if they're not as strong, just to hold Broly off while they come up with some sort of a plan for them to do so. But I think that, if anything, Gohan would serve a great purpose in this, and the reason why I say this is because during the Tournament of Power, his motive and his incentive was he needed to protect the people that he loved, which is, of course, you know, not only his friends and his family, but, you know, Pan and Videl. So if Broly threatens that, if, let's say, for example, Gohan realizes that Broly threatens the very existence of his family, why shouldn't he be involved in this fight, even though theoretically he would be weaker than Broly now, which is crazy to say? But, you know, seeing as how they could need a helping hand, do you see anybody else assisting Goku and Vegeta in this, or do you think by the very end, as we, you know, progress in this movie, it's only going to be Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza and nobody else? Or is there some chance that somebody else may get involved just to assist them for the time being?
I don't see anybody else getting involved, like not that many people. I mean, like I said, I have to see another trailer. You know, we only got one trailer to base all of these predictions or information that you know, that we like make up, like, okay, you know, there's a possibility that this could be there, that could be there. We have to wait for another trailer to drop. Once that other trailer drops and say they show Gohan or they show Piccolo or people fighting, like, you know, then we'll be able to know. We'll be able to know what happens, you know? We'll be able to predict the better possibility of, like, someone like Gohan or Piccolo fighting off Frieza's army if we see a clip of a war going on while Goku and Vegeta are fighting. Like, it really depends what we get. But yeah, and until that time happens, until we get that second trailer, I honestly don't think that these characters are gonna play a huge role.
You know, I would have to agree if it were not for the Paragus army members that are going to be there present with Goku and Vegeta. From there, I can only see a situation coming about to where Gohan and everyone else wouldn't really have a need to be there. But given the situation that Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza are going to be taking on Broly, the question only there lingers as to what Paragus is going to do. And I think that with Paragus' involvement, they ought to have Paragus fight off the rest of the Z fighters while Broly battles against the strongest remaining warriors, that being Vegeta, Goku, and Frieza. And I think that more or less we're not going to see Android 17. A lot of people want to see Android 17, which I think it'll be pretty cool to see 17 actually involved, but I'm still convinced on the idea that 17 currently right now is on his boat. He's probably with his family and he's off on that vacation enjoying himself, and more likely than not protecting the islands and the rainforest as he was before Goku's arrival for the Tournament of Power recruitment process. So I think that 17 is not going to be involved, even though we ought to see what he's been up to since that time. I think that the only viable option for us to go with here are the obvious: Piccolo, Gohan, Tien, Krillin, Yamcha, Goten, Trunks, and possibly even fusing to create Gotenks. I think that it would only be logical for them to include said characters and have them more or less kind of do the same thing they've done in the Revival of F movie where they fought off against Frieza's army. But I would also love to see a situation arise to where Gohan, Piccolo, Muten Roshi, everyone's hand is forced in battle against Broly as they realize that Broly is completely overpowering Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza, and they need help. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility in seeing Gohan more or less involved, and I would really love to see, out of everybody there, out of Piccolo, Gotenks, Roshi, Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, I would really want Gohan to also shine, because it'll bring us back to Broly's second coming and seeing Gohan versus Broly again. And I think that the only way that situation can come about is if Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza are rendered immobile or, you know, incapacitated during the fight where they can't really get up and someone else is forced to step in. That would be really cool. And judging based on the way they're building up Broly, of course, Broly at this point would be stronger than Gohan, but it'll still be awesome to see what kind of a fight Gohan can pit up or put up against someone like Broly, especially now that the fact that Gohan has gotten stronger. And since we're following the Tournament of Power, I think that only from there it would allow all the secondary characters to feel that much more important if they had their hand in trying to slow down Broly while our main core heroes are trying to come up with a plan or method on stopping Broly in that kind of a scenario. Now, we don't know Broly's backstory, we don't know the roots of Broly's power yet. There is no explanation, there is no concrete evidence to support the idea of how strong or why exactly Broly is this strong to begin with, but I feel as if once the movie kind of rolls on in, it'll further explain the depths of Broly's power. And even though Gohan at that point would still be significantly weaker if they want to go with that narrative, it would still be cool to see what Gohan would be able to do against such a person. So by the end of it, guys, we want to know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your overall thoughts on the concept of Broly having to fight off against the rest of the Z fighters, particularly Gohan, if Gohan is the only person among that group that can stand up to Broly? What are your thoughts on seeing Gohan in the film? Do you expect to see him do anything in the movie, or more or less just be kept on the side while Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza have their moments? Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, everybody. Once again, I do appreciate that. If you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, slap a like down below if you guys enjoyed. Tune back in for more. Check out the previous discussions that we had on the Broly movie. I will leave a link to those videos down in the description box below. Thank you all once again. Tune back in, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below and on the next Dragon Ball video. Cue my legendary outro, bitch.